It was late at night when 20-year-old Sharron Phillips ran out of petrol on Ipswich Road on the industrial outskirts of Brisbane.
I thought, oh, Sharron, if only you'd put fuel in the car that night.
It was May 8, 1986. Sharron Phillips first tried to get help from a nearby army barracks. Eventually, she found a payphone and reverse called a friend to pick her up. Then called again a second time when he hadn't arrived.
And I always thought that when her friend hadn't turned up, she would have rung Dad.
By the time her friend reached the spot, Sharron Phillips was gone.
Any case which involves no body being found is one of the deepest mysteries of all.
Police cadets formed a human chain alongside Ipswich Road.
The disappearance of Sharron Phillips quickly became big news.
We're not trying to be melodramatic or be funny, but look at your workmates last week. Any of them come in with scratch marks on their faces? Something like that? Bites, scratch marks, things like that.
Sharron Phillips's father, Bob, wasted no time in appealing to the public. He insisted on staying close to the investigation.
He made sure that he was right with us all the time on the investigation, and like you couldn't scratch unless he was with you.
Bob Phillips told police he was with his wife Dawn on the night of Sharron's disappearance, collecting a truck interstate in Gilgandra.
I thought he was at home in bed, or, you know, at home, and I honestly thought, and I repeated it to people.
Donna Anderson is Sharron Phillips's older sister and one of 9 siblings.
I never ever thought, even when she was missing, I used to think, we won't ever find her.
Over the years, there's been, you know, friends of the family might have done it, and the guys at the army barracks across the road from where the car broke down, they probably did it. Many theories, and that's the problem and the difficulty with a long-standing cold case. It sort of spins out of logic and control over time.
That it was a bungle, but it should never have been investigated the way it was, or at the police station it was investigated from.
As time passed, Bob Phillips blamed the unsolved mystery of his daughter's disappearance on poor police work. On the 20th anniversary of her death, journalist Matthew Condon interviewed him. Was there speculation at the time he was involved?
There hadn't been speculation for years. I just turned up out of the blue and he welcomed me inside the house. And as you say, some of those comments could appear now, reading them 10 years later, could appear to be him constructing some form of scaffolding of defence.
Matthew Condon contacted Donna about her father's alibi. She remembers it as a chilling moment.
None of us knew he had the alibi that night. To me, that was the first alarm bell.
That's a massive point. The fact is, if he didn't go to Gilgandra, get the truck and bring it back, then you say to yourself, well, who brought the car back? Because Dawn couldn't drive.
I've been trying for the last 5 years at least to be able to just have somebody listen to me. And even up until recent times. Last year they were too busy, and then again this March they had more pressing issues.
Bob Phillips died last year. At his funeral, Donna Anderson discovered some of her siblings also believed their father was involved in Sharron's disappearance.
One of my brothers is saying now, you know, how do you think we feel? We've just found out about this. I said, well, I'm sorry, but I've been carrying this for a long time.
Homicide detectives today announced an unexpected development in the Sharron Phillips case. But their suspect isn't Bob Phillips.
It's a person who has come forward. We have spoken to the person. The aspects of what they say has been verified in a lot of detail from previous investigations, and we have always said that if any person does come forward with any information, we will act upon it.
Donna Anderson says she's tried that multiple times.
I've had to know this all these years and felt useless to do something about it.
Those two go in the crime section.
Bob Dallow is now retired. He worked on the Phillips case for several years. 5 years after her disappearance, Sharron's mother, Dawn, said something to his wife that disturbed him.
At one stage, she grabbed my wife on the way to... we got fairly friendly with the family, and grabbed my wife and said to her, Dawn had said to her that Bob had killed Sharron and put her in a box, and she wanted him to kill her too.
She's looking over his shoulder, peering over his shoulder, and she's saying to me, Kay, she said, Bobby's killed Sharron and put her in a big box, and I want him to kill me and put me in the box too.
And you tried to give information to police years ago?
Yeah, I've given information. As I got it, I've given it to them. Whether they've done anything on it, I don't know.
Dawn Phillips passed away in 2010. Last week, police collected old diaries penned by Dawn Phillips before she passed away. Bob Phillips unknowingly gave them in a pile of old books to Bob Dallow, who now runs a bookstore.
But she said things like, in some of her diary entries, like things that sick of telling lies and keep your mouth shut and all these sorts of things.
It has to be specific information, and you know, to go down that path of doing searches, you have to take a lot of things into account, and you have to have lawful reasons for doing that, and those lawful reasons, we've got a crime scene warrant to do these searches, and we have to have grounds to do that rather than someone's just gut feeling.
We all know that Dad was not honest, I'm sorry, and we all know that Dad was violent, and sadly I think there's an even darker side to him.
Donna Anderson is now pleading for a new inquest to answer the questions which should always have been asked.
We might not find Sharron, but we might uncover some truths about that night.